Hi, everyone. My name is Brianna Hobbs, and I serve as the Health and Wellness Program Manager with Teamwork Englewood. And here at Teamwork Englewood, we are a capacity builder and catalyst for positive community change focused on safety, services to special needs populations, and the promotion of healthy lifestyles for all residents. I'm really excited to be here to speak with everyone today and share more about our collective food access work.
Ezra.
Hey everybody, good afternoon, evening. I'm Ezra. I'm the director of urban farms for Growing Home. We are a 2 acre urban farm located in Englewood. We're spending a lot of our efforts, focused on growing produce every year, trying to distribute as much as possible into food insecure areas, especially focusing on Englewood through a bunch of different partners, finding creative solutions in order to do that. And then also operating a workforce development program on our site, serving 80 to 100 individuals every year with a paid job training program.
And last but not least, Charisma Blackburn.
Hi everyone, I'm Charisma Blackburn. I also work alongside Stefan, our program steward, and as well as Jennifer Stewart, our partner in leadership steward. I am the program steward at Grow Greater Englewood, and I also help coordinate our beautiful network. And I'm super honored and excited to do this work along so many beautiful people.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So in the fashion of a cookbook, we've included these ingredients that also serve as our core values at the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network. And I'll read these first definition and I'll pass it over to some of the speakers to read. So, uh, food sovereignty, and this is our definition that we uphold at the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network, and that it comes from La Via Campesina in their definition of what food sovereignty is, and that is the right of peoples to healthy and culturally appropriate food. It puts the aspirations and needs of those who produce, distribute, and consume food at the heart of the food systems. And Charisma, can you read Community Power for us?
You're on mute, Charisma.
Y'all, we still human at the end of the day. Thank you for seeing my humanness. Thank you, Ezra. Community power, the capability of individuals or groups to influence how both public and private resources are distributed within a community.
And Samaria, do you mind taking mutual aid?
Of course, mutual aid is a voluntary reciprocal exchange of resources and services. It emphasizes collective responsibility and equality.
So, and these ingredients definitions will come up throughout. So this is just to ground us in some verbiage, language that I'm sure most of you are familiar with, but if not, this is we're sharing our definitions and how we define these words and actions. Solidarity. Who, Brianna, do you mind reading solidarity for us?
Absolutely. Solidarity. The focusing on mutual liberation, recognizing that our own liberation is bound up with that of others.
And then Ezra, can you take on food access?
Absolutely. Food access is the universal right to obtain nutritious, affordable, and culturally appropriate food, recognizing it as a basic human right rather than a commodity.
And I'll finish with aggregation. It is connecting regional producers to wholesale and retail buyers and simplifying market access for small farms while supporting a local food security and economic resilience. So I ask that you all hold on to these definitions throughout this presentation. So the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network, what is the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network and what is our purpose? The Englewood Food Sovereignty Network's purpose and vision, we exist to build a just, sustainable, and cooperative local food system in the Englewood community and surrounding communities. EFSN unites to strengthen mutual aid, food access, food sovereignty, and community self-determination, ensuring that food is grown, distributed, and shared in ways that nourish people and the planet. And then we also have a visual of our partner organizations. Um, we have Teamwork Englewood, Urban Growers Collective, Growing Home, Sisters in the Village, Living Hope Kingdom Ministries, Think Outside the Block, Imagine Englewood If, Iman, and of course, Grow Greater Englewood. How did the Englewood Food Sovereignty begin? It started in 2021. The Englewood Food Sovereignty Network was a collective vision to feed residents impacted by the pandemic while uplifting local farmers and food vendors through purchasing produce and buying cooked meals. The idea was generated by Growing Home, Teamwork Englewood, Iman, and Grow Greater Englewood, who was entrusted with managing the network. And what inspired the network? What inspired the philosophy? For us, we look to Nia Onim. It is a significant Adinkra symbol from the Akan people of Ghana that translates to "He who does not know can learn." It serves as a reminder that education and knowledge can empower individuals and communities. And to give a little bit more context, when we think about even the Rhizome Network, we, with the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network, the logo, though it is an Adinkra symbol, it also represents like the mycelium network, the rhizome network, where there's so many intricate um, moving parts to a network and the coordination, and that all of the organizations within the EFSN, we're constantly learning and pushing each other and coordinating with one another. So it's an ongoing learning process, and nothing is completely end all be all, and that we all are on this journey together. So since 2021, how has the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network grown? We have grown to 10 member orgs. We debuted the EFSN newsletter in 2025 entitled The Community Cookbook, hence the title of our presentation. We've also released our third issue of the Direct Mailer, and it was received by over 6,500 residents in the Englewood community. We also produce 7 weekly emergency food access flyers, supporting community members navigating SNAP shutdown with information on where to access free food. We also partner with the Greater Chicago Food Depository, acting as an emergency hub for Englewood and the Greater Grand Crossing area, serving over 1,400 individuals and distributing over 47,000 pounds of food in November of 2025. Here we have a visual representation of our free meal ecosystem at EFSN. And ultimately, this is, again, just a visual to share that, or to show that we work with community-based organizations. We partner with farmers and food vendors. We are doing a lot of the coordinating around distribution and making sure that families, individuals, children in the Englewood community has access to hot meals. And this particular free meal ecosystem really represents what we do with the Living Hope Kingdom Ministry. We serve hot meals on the second Saturday of every month. And we work again with small food vendors, local food vendors, and chefs and farmers to ensure that what we're serving to community has a farm to table component as well. Okay. There's some organizations that are not represented as speakers here, but we decided to also shout them out. So, as I said, Living Hope Kingdom Ministry, we have a monthly meal distribution where we are serving 100 to 150 meals every second Saturday. We have Think Outside the Blocks, Roll in Peace, where we distributed 300 plant-based wraps and sandwiches. Through Imagine Englewood If's Peace Pantry, seniors and families were delivered bi-weekly shelf-stable items. And Sisters in the Village provided fresh produce such as eggplant, kale, purple basil for the Englewood Village Market. Eat, Move, Save, they held their second year of Hunger and Health Summit in 2025. Unfortunately, due to a loss of federal funding, they're no longer a part of the network, but we felt it was important to highlight the work that they've done in 2025. And I would be remiss if I can't go forward without just taking a moment, silence for Mecca Bay, honoring the life of her. Um, she was and still is a pioneer in the urban ag space, not only here in Chicago, but abroad. And I don't think Boys is on the call, but to really uplift and spotlight Boys for still, exhibiting strength throughout last year and being able to still provide produce and upholding the vision of Sisters in the Village in honor of Mecca Bay. So with that, I would like to take a moment of silence. Thank you. I'm happy I didn't like get choked up because I was practicing this earlier and I was a mess. Um, but okay. I'll stop talking for a second and allow our speakers to give more information about the organization. And first up, we have Iman. Samaria, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Stefan. Hi again, everyone. So I'm representing Inner City Muslim Action Network, or IMAN, and I do want to highlight our food ecosystem work, but I do just want to mention that we are a community organization, again, based in Englewood and the Chicagoland area. We house a health center, behavioral health center, green reentry, arts and culture, and just all of the avenues for a really solid community-based organization and foundation for folks to get involved. In terms of our food ecosystem work, we are looking at our fresh market and our Iman Food and Wellness Center. So we our fresh market was recently opened in 2022, and it has been a staple for the Englewood neighborhood, right on 63rd and Racine. And it is a community partnership for sure. It is based with our local partners of Teamwork Englewood, Rage, and EG Wood. Overall, just highlighting that neighborhood revitalization strategy. We are focusing on small scale grocery store work as we bring in a lot of local and Black owned vendors into the store to highlight how they are part of the community, that they have things to offer, and really center the initiatives around public investment. So besides just food as well, we also have an outdoor space at this market, is the Griot Plaza. It is a physical and public investment into providing, improved space, third space, community space for our members, and just overall increased safety and walkability and community gathering opportunities, where Englewood may fall short of, but continues to build on. And you are welcome to come in anytime. We are open Monday through Sunday. And it really is a bountiful opportunity to get more enriched with localized grocery shopping and community sourcing. We also offer discounts at this site, so you are able to be locally based, have Inglewood discounts. We are offering some subsidies through some of our produce and items that we have in stock. And yeah, it's just a really bountiful place to do more localized shopping. So if anyone is in the area, should definitely stop by the fresh market. And then right across the street, we have the Food and Wellness Center. It is a client choice pantry that is partnered with the Greater Chicago Food Depository. We are open 2 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the purpose is to just provide nutritious food for our clients and our community members, our neighbors. Um, you have the opportunity to volunteer as well, and really just get a chance to see how community members are engaging with their food ecosystem. As the food and wellness coordinator, I am overseeing volunteers and also the delegation of food that we bring into the centers. So stepping in, it was really important to provide nutritious food for our community members, whether that is through our produce, our even stealth-stabled items. Um, yeah, just an opportunity to provide a more diverse offerings for our community members and not, stick to what they may be used to at other pantries or locations, really diversify the offerings. Like I said, you can volunteer, so it's a great opportunity to engage with community members. We've had high school students all the way to our seniors who have been involved with Iman for years volunteer here, and overall just get more engaged with our food ecosystem in Englewood and really broaden the opportunities that this neighborhood needs. So all in all, it is a local economic effort, and we are centering our community members at the base of it.
Thank you, Samaria. That's great. And something that I have to also mention, at the fresh market, they their egg prices, when price of eggs were like $10, $12. Here at the fresh market, they remained um, just the regular, $2.99, $3.99. So I think
Mhm.
that is really special. And I was telling everybody, like, if you don't want to spend $10 on eggs, you have to check out the fresh market. They have great smoothies as well. So shout
Yes.
out to you
Yes,
all.
we do. In-house kitchen do come for the smoothies and our on-the-go food.
Mhm. And the on-the-go food is amazing too. Yeah. So thank you, Samaria.
No problem.
All right, next up, we have Teamwork Englewood. Brianna, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Stefan. Hi again, everyone. So I'm gonna give you a little deep dive into what we do here at Teamwork Englewood. As I mentioned earlier, we are a community-based nonprofit that provides programs and services to our Englewood residents that improve their quality of life. And our services and programs are grounded in our Englewood Quality of Life Plan, which is the community-driven plan that was created by various partners, stakeholders, residents that developed these 5 focus areas deemed most important to them. And as you can see on the screen, that's education and youth, health and wellness, housing and public spaces, jobs and economic development, and public safety. And all of these task forces have their own strategies where all of the partners create programming and services and initiatives to meet those needs outlined in that quality of life plan. Some of the highlights that are on our slide is in January of this year, we celebrated the ending of our second iteration of the Englewood Quality of Life Plan. Woo woo. And that was, we pretty much honored residents, leaders, milestones, and kicked off engagement for the iteration of the third plan that we'll be working on this year. We also, through our Time 2136, which is one of our public safety initiatives, we were able to provide 600 prepared meals throughout the summer. And we actually are able to do that every summer. Shout out to the EFSN. And lastly, this last bubble, it says that over 46 residents graduated from our food as medicine program. Also within that program, we were able to provide over 900 pounds of produce. Shout out to Growing Home, one of our partners. And we were also able to provide over $5,000 in food assistance via gift cards. Shout out to the Go Green Community Fresh Market. So those are some of the things that we've been doing in our food access work. And then some of the programs that are highlighted on the screen is we do have a full service reentry department where we do job placement, job training, as well as expungements and sealants for returning citizens. We have our Englewood Women's Initiative program, which through the plan, we learned that most households in Englewood are women led. So we created a program to support them in earning higher wage jobs. So through this program, they get support with certifications, job readiness training, etc. And we have our parent mentor program. And I feel like I'm missing one, but I can't see it. So sorry. But I'm sure you have the website and everything. And if you have any questions about any of our services and programs, feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Brianna. All right. Next up, we have Ezra from Growing Home. Ezra, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Stefan. Yeah, so like I mentioned at the top of the session, we're a 2 acre urban farm, and so our goal is to really use that production space that we've been, you know, graciously working towards growing in order to produce as much kind of fresh, healthy produce options locally as we can, and distributing that in a lot of different outlets. We are primarily focused on distributing in food insecure neighborhoods and especially prioritizing Englewood because, of course, that's where we're located, and we recognize it's also a food insecure neighborhood in and of itself. And so, over the years, we've tried to work towards not necessarily reinventing programming all the time, but collaborating on programming. And so, like Brianna mentioned, we're distributing boxes to the Food as Medicine program. We're hosting a farmers market. We're delivering to homes identified in the neighborhood as well for free and offering discounts at our markets. We're also at Grow Greater Englewood's farmers market. So, trying to focus on these connection points that we recognize are crucial for people to have consistent access to really high quality produce grown extremely locally. I mean, we're like harvesting and delivering within 48 hours. And it's, ideally within a mile, oftentimes, within a mile, sometimes going as far as a few miles. But really, I mean, that's an incredibly short distance to work on, and trying to work within networks to make sure that these all get paired up really effectively. And so, yeah, we're, kind of trying to use not only the produce as an access point, going to pantries, going to these markets, and delivering directly, but also utilizing the space that we have as a farm in order to engage people about their network or their kind of food system at large. We know that the food system is really complex, and getting engaged and hands-on to begin with is a great way to lead towards better connection overall to the food system at large, right? To where those canned goods are produced or shelf-stable items are produced, and actually what the best idea of food access looks like to residents directly. And so you can see a whole bunch of numbers up here, but we are, working not only within the confines of the farm, but also within our employment training program to recognize and uplift all positions regarding all like potential employment opportunities within our food network as absolutely critical in order to providing and growing resources. So you can see, over 6,000 total number of contacts of everybody coming to the farm in 2025. We're kind of out and about quite a bit as we are right now, speaking community engagements. We've just worked kind of in lots of different areas in order to have, the greatest reach and the greatest amount of experience as we possibly can, utilizing this, kind of wonderful 2 acres of farmland that we have.
Thank you so much, Ezra. We will be in touch. Market season is approaching, so thank you
Me
for sharing.
too.
All right. Next up is Grow Greater Englewood. I'll give a little context before passing it over to Charisma. So with the Grow Greater Englewood, we started in 2017. We have grown exponentially since then. Some of our main projects that I think residents and Chicagoans know us most for is spearheading the Englewood Agro Eco District and the Englewood Nature Trail. It is roughly a 2 to 3 mile nature trail from Halsted to Damon. I like to say think about the 606, but with more nature um, and more intention around preserving the environment. Uh, we have the Englewood Village Plaza and our Englewood Village Market we spoke about. So on 58th and Halsted, the Village Plaza is a community space. It also acts as the entry point to the nature trail. The Englewood Food Sovereignty Network, of course. This is what we're presenting on today. So the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network is just a collective of partners, growers, institutions, all, looking to build a hyper-local sustainable food system. And the Englewood Village Farms, EVF, and you all may be very familiar with some of our EVF sites. Cedillo's Fresh Produce, shout out Dulce, Dusabo City Botanical Farms, shout out Kenya and Julian, Getting Grown Collective, Taryn, we see you, and your entire family, and Sisters in the Village. And along the nature trail, there's the nature trail also serves as like this silver lining as well throughout the community where if you walk it, you're able to access Sisters in the Village and Dusabo City Botanical Farms. And it is just a great, um, you know, access point, way to just like get in nature. If you haven't already visited the plaza, I encourage you to do so once our market season starts. But even before then, the nature trail is still a really wonderful sight to see during this off season. And Charisma, I'll pass it over to you.
You're still on mute, Charisma.
No, in a second, I'm gonna just leave myself on mute. But I just wanted to say thank you, Stefan, also for just stewarding this in presentation and grounding us with your beautiful voice. I'm just gonna read a few highlights from our 2025 Sankofa report. Our Sankofa report is basically a space that we usually upload on our website every single year that highlights all the amazing things, initiatives, and partner events that we were able to do during that specific year. And this year, we can celebrate that we've expanded Food Acts initiatives by offering link match, providing $1 for $1 match and link coupons. Shout out to also the accessibility that gives to people being able to access that across their farmers markets and knowing that they can find things locally without not having to deal with any financial burdens. We highlighted and promoted local farms and growers that we source from, which strengthened transparency alongside the community's connection to their local food economy. We hosted our first annual Heart Health Day inspired by Mecca Bay. We continue your legacy, and we provided 800 produce boxes at We Grow's Winterfest. We served locally prepared hot meals for free at community events. Those numbers are 6,900 and 18,000 individual pieces of fruit/produce distributed for free. Like Stefan shared, another highlight that I just want to say about the plaza, always come to our farmers market. We would love to see more people and always connect more people with the food ecosystem that is in Englewood. But the fact that it is also an open area of green space, I also want to like highlight that it's really important that we always, imagine that things are accessible. And if you ever just want to go and chill one day and you just need a second and a breather, the Englewood Village Plaza will give you that breather when you need it. But through the market last year, we were able to serve 300 residents with access to locally grown produce, like Stefan said, from some of our partners, Sisters in the Village, Cedillo's Fresh Produce, and Growing Home were also featured this year. The U Pick Garden at the Englewood Village Plaza provides free produce from June through October, serving as an immediate food access site. This was really a really good access point for people if you've never also like seen a community garden, that it's always open. It's an open area that people can come learn about the local plants. We also have cards on each of our beds to basically just provide more knowledge so people are aware of what's growing in the neighborhood, and sometimes what people are already getting from the store that they didn't know that also grows in the neighborhood. We've also established a partnership issuing seniors $10 coupons, increasing purchasing power and participation among older adults in Englewood Village Market. I can attest, y'all, my grandma was one of those people, and she was really grateful that, especially her friends who also were navigating the very real thing of ice and other things that were happening, that provided her friends a sense of just safety to have in a time that felt really hard to go to the grocery store. So I also just want to just also uplift, um, because we are also the last partners that this network really is about collective care. And I'm excited for once we go through our panel, we will learn more, but really, really excited to steward this work.
Thank you so much, Charisma. Um, yeah, that really sums up our food access work that we do here in Englewood. If you haven't been to our farmers market, I highly encourage you to do so. Starting June 13th, I believe, and through the end of October. It's bi-weekly, but check, at the end of this, you'll have the link to our site to get those exact dates. But it is really a good time, and the seniors, they do not play about their produce. All right. So we'll jump into the panel discussion now, and to ground us a little bit more around the shoulders that we stand on when doing this work. This is a question for everyone on the panel. When you think about those who came before you, farmers, cooks, organizers, elders, how are you carrying their work forward in the food system that we're building? And I can start with Samaria.
I first think of my ancestors and connection to the South. Recently, we had learned that there is land in our family, and so having that be a connection to the possibilities, or even just um, the ownership around land is very sentimental. So I think that being like the foreground of how my family has moved up and kind of got into this environment. But thinking more specifically, I just think about how we look at food and the role, especially as a Black person in this work, how food is very central to the culture and how we connect with it, whether um, through our history or through our personal familial recipes. That's something that has us continue going on into this work and provides the um, connection on how you relay that information to people, how you're able to bond over that relationship, whether that is the recipe building or the community cookbook building, um, or just the historical notion of like we come from so many different avenues of food salvation, food preservation, um, and what that means to build a more localized community and what that means for the possibilities around growing um, our own food system. So I think just more personally, that Southern aspect for myself, but broadly, the historical and communal bond around recipe and food system building.
Awesome. You said food salvation, and I felt that in my spirit. Thank you, Samaria.
No problem.
Brianna, same question.
Yes. Similar to what Samaria said, when I think about those who came before us. I think about how food has always been a tool for survival, care, and community. You know, farmers grew the food, the cooks in the home nourished the families, and organizers made sure people had access to what they needed. So for me, carrying that work forward means continuing to build a system that centers community care through food, whether it's through our wellness programs, food distribution, or partnerships. We're really continuing a legacy that our elders practiced long before we had format food systems language for it.
Agreed, agreed. Um, Ezra, how are you carrying this work forward in the food systems that we're building?
Yeah, I think as we kind of look to create new or hold on to what we have in their food system, I often end up thinking about how much adaptation and ingenuity has been needed in the past to, hold on to what we have. I think, there's so much great conversation about wanting to build a local food system, and trying to remember kind of these elements and pieces that have been brought together that have made our food system into what it is, and remembering that access also necessitates, sometimes some compromise in some areas, right? I oftentimes think about as people have migrated and moved, they've often brought, this demand for a global food system, but they've also for a long, long time adapted to what's available for them. And so kind of that give and take and that ability to change and make new traditions has been really powerful while also staying connected to kind of the process, and as part of what makes food so special and not just the item itself that kind of carries the tradition.
Yeah, thank you. Charisma, what are your thoughts on legacy?
The way in which y'all, I just been saying to everyone's replies because y'all are eating. To go off on honestly what everyone has been saying, it's just the importance of relationships. I think that being able to also stay motivated in this work is because of the hearts that make this work possible. I think that is really important, and I know from our ancestors, from each other, from just being able to work in the being able to do this work in different capacities teaches you how important like this practice and this work also comes from living, and also making space to share with each other what that living comes from, because I do really think um, that it's important that we have conversations with each other to find the wisdom to build whatever we're even imagining building, whether it is furthering our networks, whether it's furthering relationships. If everyone's not a part of what that process looks like, it's very hard um, for vision to be collective. So I really just want to highlight that it's really important that we deepen our relationships to each other. And I'm grateful that because of that, I've been able to gain more wisdom out of this work.
Nice, thank you, Charisma. Not a panelist here, but feel inclined to just uplift when I think about legacy as well, intergenerational relationships, and the fact that we have folks in our communities right now. It's very important to build on what has already, come before us. But also, I encourage us all to look in our own communities and our own food systems to see and acknowledge the folks that are currently doing this work. Um, no matter the age, no matter the occupation, but we all play a role in our food system. Solidarity, Brianna, this question is for you. What are some recipes we've created together that none of us could have built alone?
I would say one example is our Englewood Food as Medicine program. That program only works because multiple partners bring different ingredients to the table. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we have one partner that is able to provide produce boxes. Another partner provides space for us to host our nutrition education classes. Others contribute incentives like gift cards and other donations to go in our wellness kits that we provide to the residents for being a part of the program. Together, we're able to create something way more impactful than if we just try to do it all ourselves. And it also speaks to us just being intentional about the partners and the local vendors that we use so that we're circulating the dollars back into the community. I think that's really important. Um, Another example is our Health and Wellness boot camps, where we facilitate fitness programming free for the residents. We have, some of our partners provide cooking demonstrations, smoothies, produce bags for the participants of that boot camp. Um, and really elevate the experience. We wouldn't be able to do that alone. And honestly, I'll say that the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network itself is a recipe because of all the impact that we're able to make together. It just wouldn't be possible if we wasn't all working closely together as we do.
Yeah, I love that. Um, I asked the same question to you, Samaria. What are some recipes we've created together that none of us could have built alone?
Um, I kind of agree with Brianna around at least the community building for the Food and Wellness Center. Like we run and are able to run because of the people who come in to volunteer and help us. If not, it would just be me and maybe one other Iman staffer. And so it's really important that we bring in those who are reflective of our community to be a part of this work. And they're even providing feedback to me myself around like the food quality or the food offerings. And so they're providing their voice around what we're offering that is um, in relation to what they see the community needs and what should be offered. And then, of course, the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network. I'm relatively new into the space, but I've already just felt very impacted myself on the work that we do. It came together very recently where we were all in person and everyone was just being able to express how their organization works together, but in a communal space, impacting youth as well. The vision of what their food can be and where it can come from um, was very powerful for me. And I just think that it was a like tour group day for students to come in, and I just always think about that, how something's like you would think so small but very impactful for the organizers as well to see what can come about a solid network foundation.
Yes, thank you, Samaria. That is really important. With that tour that we hosted, the biggest takeaway that we received from the school and the students was that it is really um, like a breath of fresh air to see so many organizations, specifically nonprofits, work together in a community that we, work together to share resources. We coordinate very heavily to ensure that, their event is not on the event date is not on this person, other organizations' event date, to just maximize engagement with community. So yeah, thank you. Next up, community power. Food sovereignty is ultimately about power. How is the community gaining power and moving towards a more sovereign food system through your work? And Charisma, I'm going to throw this question to you.
Thank you, Stefan. I think first, like many of the partners that I'm also hearing them say, is the power of choice. Um, I think allowing people to be able to recognize their own agency in the in their food system is important because that will then allow them to know that they're also a part of the food system. That this our system would not look like what it is without not only the person buying from the grocery store, not only the person who may be helping that farmer, say, harvest, for example, Englewood Village uh, market, and as well as understanding that they also have accessibility to deepen their relationships across the different sectors of the food system. And I think that the most one that I really, really want to highlight, especially because we are a network and we want people to be not only active participants, but we also want them to be leaders in the food system that they envision. And I'm complete.
Thank you, Charisma. I'll also throw this question over to Ezra. Um, Food sovereignty is ultimately about power. How is the community gaining power and moving towards a more sovereign food system?
Yeah, I think the power of choice is a really good phrase for it, Charisma. I think that, having the the choice or having options and being able to pick is so empowering because you can, no longer have to take what, is available, but really, be able to compare and contrast. And to me, that, activates people's ability to um, make comparisons and decide and make a clear decision and voice clearly what the model that they want to see moving forward is. I mean, when you're like provided only one option, it really boxes in what that future is going to look like. But when you open it up and say, like, this is something you could have, right? It encourages people to make that demand, right? It gives a voice to what that demand should look like. And so I think, yeah, through my work through Growing Homes work, it's to be able to show a little bit of what that model is. I'm aware of the capacity of what a farm can, produce reasonably in a season where we're trying to grow about 30,000 pounds of food, and that feeds a lot of people, but it doesn't, necessarily meet the need of an entire neighborhood. And so the goal is to be able to use that space to say that this is something that we could expand, not just growing home, but the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network can bring in different components and different pieces. And it doesn't just have to be growing your own food, within the city, but maybe it's a little bit closer, or maybe it's we make a compromise because we feel like there's a cultural need, right? Like I want plantains. It's not going to grow here. So, where do we choose to compromise on what our food system looks like, and what else do we demand, has to be local and has to be part of what we're considering on a day-to-day basis as an individual.
Yeah, really important. Thank you, Ezra. I'm gonna stick with you for the next question. Cooperation. What can be challenging about collaboration, and what have you learned about building trust across organizations?
Yeah, I think one of the great things about working in the Englewood Food Sovereignty Network is that we all have really similar goals, I think, most of the time, and we all want to kind of see these needs met. And we all have kind of slightly different contingencies about what that should look like and exactly how that service needs to be delivered. So I think, just having to problem solve frequently is one issue. And I say that, once again, knowing that we distribute at a bunch of different locations, and the simple solution is to pick one or two and say, like, all of it goes there, and we make deliveries once a week, and that's it. And that's obviously kind of the most easy logistic choice, but it's not actually what best serves the community, and it's not what best is best served by an urban farm. And so making those choices and having those conversations about where exactly this fits into play for each organization, and what group of community members this benefits or brings something to has been one of the biggest challenges. And I think, what's helped build trust over the years has been the idea that if one thing doesn't work one time, it's not a closed door, right? Like we're going to come back the next season, maybe it's even just like the next month, and say, like, what does this look like, next time? And that's
Mhm.
worked on a number of different occasions, like looking at how the village market has developed into what it is now, looking at how we've expanded the food, our growing homes produce to the Food as Medicine network, or the Food as Medicine program over the past couple of years, which has grown, to serve throughout kind of our whole growing season instead of just kind of select opportunities, has shown that it's kind of just about building these um, these relationships to know when to ask and when to follow up and when, a new opportunity might fit, but is going to take kind of some more work on both ends to make sure that it's a good fit.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is really like is a callback to Neo and Neem, that who does not know can learn. And just, again, understanding that we all are learning and we're willing to go back to the drawing board every time, to really fine tune what our presence in the community looks like and how our residents have, a say in what is taking place. Uh, Sticking with the same question, Brianna, what are your thoughts on cooperation and some of the challenges um, that have been, come up with collaboration, and how have you learned to build trust across organizations?
Um, One thing I've learned is that building trust takes time. The needs in our communities are urgent, so sometimes we expect collaboration to happen automatically because the goals are similar, but strong partnerships require time to learn each other's capacities and ways of working. Another challenge can be the differences in capacity or timelines across organizations. And honestly, trust comes down to accountability, showing up when you say you will, and then following through. Consistency is what ultimately builds strong partnerships. And I know we've all experienced instances where, a partner may have had to back out at the last minute or didn't show up on time or things like that. So, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for that answer. We'll jump to our next question. This is centered around food sovereignty, right? And think about the definition that we shared earlier, and that being allowing folks in that food system to make decisions and own parts of that food system. Um, so the question, and I'll throw this to, I believe, Charisma and Samaria. What role do residents, not just organizations, play in shaping this network? And what is one tangible action not only can residents take, but the folks on the call, our audience, what's one tangible action they can take to positively impact their local food system? Charisma, we'll start with you.
I think that I feel like to highlight a lot of what people were saying is just how much residents also highlight what our culture looks like. I think that they're they are imperative. If not, and I do think that like as institutions, or yeah, I guess as institutions, it's really important that we also center residents in the experiences that they also want to see and the experiences that we want to create for neighborhoods and inside the food system. I think that as I've been also coordinating EFSN, I've really just thought about how we can push them up to be more in the decision making processes, not even just being able to say like what type of plants they want to have planted in the community garden, but maybe they might be they might have the opportunity to cook the food that may then go into the meals. So we're constantly trying to think about how we can just really highlight the gifts and skills that we may not have known beforehand and make space so that they can develop those skills within our network. And one tangible action I think would also just make the space open for people to come and join the network. Our network, even though we do have a lot of community-based organizations, I do want to highlight that we are looking to build our network so that there are more farmers involved, there are more food aggregators, there are more food vendors, and most importantly, there are more residents also being a part of this network, because this network would not be able to exist without residents not only input but also them being a part of our decision making processes. And I think I just went long winded, but yes, that would be my number one. Is that if you all can, when you get the chance, look on our website. We have a network meeting usually once a month, And then if there's also any feedback that you all want to give regarding our community cookbook, which is the newsletter that captures and highlights all of the things that our beautiful partners do, we would love your feedback.
Thank you, Charisma. Yeah. Support a local farmer. Buy something, from them. Uh, join someone's CSA. Volunteer days is also really helpful. Go, push a wheelbarrow, drop some soil, drop some wood chips. That is really impactful and helpful for our farmers, not only in Englewood, but just across the Chicagoland. Um, Samaria, same question. What role do residents, not just organizations, play in shaping this network? And what is one tangible action they can take to positively impact their local food system, aside from shopping at, which shop at the fresh market, but something other than that.
Oh, that was gonna be my first one. No, I'm kidding.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think I mean, first thing to come to mind is just participation, whether that is through volunteering at a site or just staying engaged with, like the newsletter, for example, stay engaged with what's being brought to the neighborhood. I think that's the first step to really recognize what's happening and how to take action. And then from that action, it's really important for folks to know what they bring to the table is not going to be the same for everyone. Not everyone in the food ecosystem is a farmer. Not everyone is a grower. We're all shoppers, we're all eaters and consumers, but how you want to partake in the ecosystem at large is going to be very different. And so, whether that is you receive the food and you're cooking it for a community gathering, or you're the health educator or nutritionist and you're describing the importance of this food for your bodies, that's really an important and maybe sometimes hidden part of the food ecosystem that isn't always highlighted. So one action to take is to just, look internally to see where you can participate on an individual scale. And then that's when you go to the organizations around you to see how you can personally contribute.
Awesome. Thank you, Samaria. Being mindful of time, we're coming up on our very last question. And I would like for everyone to answer, um, maybe given like a minute each. So we've talked about community power, food sovereignty, cooperation, like legacy. Like when you think about all of those things and what we've discussed, for you personally, in your role at your organization, your role in your community, I want to ask, what seeds are you planting today that you may never personally harvest, but trust will feed future generations? And we can start with Ezra.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I, I'm just very attentive to and would love to see develop further is that, business surrounding food is professional work and it's challenging work, whether that's in a kitchen or growing food. And so, I'm sort of hoping to see change surrounding the professionalization of the food industry at large. And hopefully that means engagement top to bottom. It means that people are, having the opportunity to grow their own food and grow food for somebody else, because those are two really different processes too, and they're really separated at the moment. And, as many people as can encounter that, I think really changes the way that we perceive food in our world, and in our local communities and the people that grow it. Like, I think ultimately the seed that I'm hoping to plant, that I probably won't see in my lifetime because it's taken a couple lifetimes for it to be kind of like so fractured, is that the farmer is not like a mythic figure in people's imaginations. It's your neighbor, it's yourself, it's somebody who spends, 10 hours a week helping to grow food. And that's not the only thing that they are, right? It's not like I'm a farmer and that's all I do. It's I'm a farmer that's engaged with this and that and the third, all the way up the food chain and into kind of all parts of our lives. So that's the seeds I'm hoping to plant.
Thank you, Ezra. Again, we are running very short on time. I thank everyone for being patient with us. For the rest of the presenters, same question, and to make space for a Q&A for some of the audience members, give like a 30-second spiel answering this question. What seeds are you planting today that you may never personally harvest, but trust will feed future generations? Charisma?
Um, um, I'm feeling stuff in my spirit right now, y'all. Sorry, Stefan, you ate on these questions. But I think for me, just knowing that having interdependent communities has always been a thing, that it wasn't discovered in 2026, that it wasn't discovered in 2025, and also making space for whatever gifts and skills that my little ones or my legacy will also add to community staying interdependent. I also want to just uplift like the importance of preserving like native plants and native prairie lands and native ecosystems. And I hope if I'm blessed enough before my timeline that specifically in the southeast side where there used to be a steel mill that a lot of Black and Latino immigrant families were able to make money off of. I also had a grandfather who was a part of that legacy. I hope that that land gets remediated and gets used for community purposes and not commercial purposes.
Awesome. Thank you, Charisma. Brianna?
For me, I didn't know I didn't have my camera on. Sorry. For
Good.
me, the biggest seed I'm planting is the value of community. I truly believe we are not meant to operate in silos. We thrive when we support one another. And one of the beautiful things about Greater Englewood is seeing organizations collaborate instead of compete. So, helping to nurture that spirit of collective work and mutual support is something that I hope will continue to strengthen our communities for generations to come.
Amen. I'll show you that, man. Samaria, same question.
Yeah, I mean, everyone said such beautiful things. To piggyback on the community though, and in connection to land, just having that be that again, my word is foundation, just the foundation for the work that we do. I'd love to see just um the acknowledgement or more ingrained work of Indigenous voices in this space and having that be brought to the forefront. Um, and from that work, we're able to work as a community network. And um, yeah, community is power. It's going to be the way we continue on and engage collaboratively.
Yeah. I thank you all so much for being a part of this panel discussion. Thank you to the SIFPAC team for allowing us to go over a few minutes. And Roger, let me know if we have a few minutes to at least answer one or two questions from the chat before we wrap up.
We could do one
Let's do one.
if there's one ready, or if
Let's do
anybody
it.
wants to drop one in.
Please do, you all. If not, I got more questions. And who's manning the chat for questions? Don't see. I don't see any. Okay. All right. I have a question. All right. Is there a question? Is there a question? Is there a question? Thank you, Pack. Okay. My question would be, um, what is one ingredient in your kitchen, in your cookbook, personally, that, keeps you going, even when like this work feels difficult and challenging? Like if you can answer that in one word, for all of the panel speakers, what is one ingredient, metaphorical ingredient that you carry throughout your life, that keeps you grounded even when times are hard?
I'd say love, love for
Love,
food. Yeah, love for good food.
good food, food
Uh,
salvation.
I would
Food
say
salvation.
family.
Um, Brianna.
Oh, sorry. I would say family.
Mm,
When things, well, I just couldn't imagine if I didn't get up every day to do what I do, and like who is going to be looking after my siblings if I'm not here to getting up out this bed to do what I need to do. So definitely family keeps me grounded.
love it.
Yeah, I would,
Charisma.
yeah,
Oh, Ezra, go ahead.
yeah, I would say resilience and goodwill are usually my biggest ones. Just staying here, staying positive, and trusting the people around me.
Love it. Charisma.
Thank you, everyone. That's a good word. Mine would be curiosity. Like I love like through everything, specifically this network. Like we've never, like even if like Ezra said, like even if something went wrong or didn't quote unquote go the right way, we're always curious on how we can make it better. So may we never like forget that even when we're engaging with each other and learning more from each other.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. And then to stay in touch with us, we have some QR codes here. You can visit our Healthy at Home page for recipes, resources, and our community cookbook newsletter. This presentation will be uploaded on the Healthy at Home site on the Grow Greater Englewood platform. And then we have our partners who presented today. Feel free to scan their QR codes to stay up to date. And I'll pass it over to Roger for this feedback poll.
Yeah, folks, as you're signing off today, just please give responses to this quick poll. It's just a handful of questions, mostly yes, nos. And I believe most of you all are also vendors. So if you want more information about each organization, you could go into the vendor page on the Socio WebEx page. And I think some folks will be even tabling on Friday too. So more opportunities for one-on-one direct conversation with folks. But wanted to say huge appreciation for you all to share the amazing partnerships you all have been developing and nurturing over the past few years. The growth of the network and all the real tangible stuff that's happening along the Englewood Rail is always inspiring and inspirational to see. So thank you all for taking the time and energy to share your stories today.
Yeah, I'd love to see you all on Friday as well. So come to the in-person portion on Friday.
Well, wonderful. Thanks, everyone, and have a great evening. We look forward. And again, we've got amazing sessions tomorrow at 10, and then there's another set of sessions at 1. So please take a look. A lot of great programming to take advantage of still. But again, have a great, wonderful evening, you all.
Take
Thank you
care,
all.
everybody.
Everyone.
Thank you, everyone.